Hey, good morning, friends. How is everybody? I hope you're all doing well today. I want to introduce you to a man who needs no introduction, usually to most people, because they're usually like, oh, you're Damien's wife. So anyway, if you've never met Damion, this is my husband of 19 years and 1 day now. So Ray, come on in. Ta-da! Hey, good to see you all.
Hello.
Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I'm so happy you came. Hold on, I'm gonna just switch something really quick. Okay, there's my mom. There's Angie and Erica. Good to see you guys. How's it going? Nice to see you all. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in today. This is Julie Hamilton with Life Builders. That was Aunt Jackie. I saw her. Lauren. Hi, Lauren. We love you. Congratulations. Lauren's been married like a week now, maybe 2 weeks. Congratulations. And Cindy, nice to see you all. Good to see you too, Angie. We shot Angie's wedding like, how long ago was it? Probably 100 years ago. Maybe 11 years ago?
She's not that old.
No. I don't know, 8 years ago, whatever. Anyway, this is Julie Hamilton with Life Builders. Simple tips to build a strong and healthy life on. And as you know, we do, my mom said, good looking couple. Love you, we love you. As you know, we do videos 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually at 8:30, just encouraging, 13 years. That was so long ago.
I feel slightly old.
I know. So anyway, and we bring you encouraging videos. And today I thought, since it's our anniversary yesterday, we thought it would be fun to just talk about marriage. So how long have you guys been married? I know my parents have been married like 45 years this year.
Yeah.
45. She said, Corinne said, I think you're kind of goofy looking. True story. True story.
Sorry, that was for the old people.
And my 17 years for Corinne.
Okay.
Your parents were together like 30 years, I think, before your mom passed away.
Just close to it, yeah.
Yeah, close to 30 years. And so, I mean, we got some long marriages in our family. And some of you have been married a long time, and some of you have been married a week. So, like Lauren and Gray. So, 11 days. That's awesome. Corinne, you always make us laugh. 20 years in August for Patty and Mark, together for 25.
Oh, yeah, man, they've been like together since they were like 8th grade.
I know,
Is that
right?
Freshman, sophomore year, maybe?
So anyway, let's just jump right to it. I'm going to be asking Damion some questions today, and we're going to be sharing some stuff. I hope you guys still like me after
Mom
this.
said I'm on the hot seat.
I'm like, oh, God, Damion's on the hot
yeah, I'm
seat.
feeling it, Mom.
He's nervous, can you tell?
A little bit.
He hasn't drummed yet, but that's good. So I was thinking about these really hot days. You know what it reminds me of? When we first got married.
Oh, gosh.
And we lived,
first place.
Yeah, our first place. We lived in like a back house, but it was like if you came into this place, like if an inspector had always not had come in, hi Lisa,
Hi, Lisa.
they would have probably like condemned it. It was not like
It wasn't
up to inspection.
It wasn't built to code.
It was not good, but
Definitely not.
it was so hot back there. We didn't have an air conditioner. This was when we lived in Southern California.
Like a swamp cooler.
Yeah, we had a swamp cooler, and it was so hot. Sometimes we would drag our mattress out into the living room. The swamp cooler was in the living room, and our bedroom was like really hot.
Yep.
So we would drag our mattress on the floor, literally into the living room, and sleep on the living room to try and stay cool. And
Because the place wasn't insulated and had like 50-year-old windows and...
Oh, gosh. It was awful.
It was
but
115 outside.
You guys have those stories too, right? But you remember when we made bubbles? We like held the bubbles up to the swamp cooler and we were like filling our living room with bubbles. That was really fun.
Cheap first married entertainment.
Yeah,
Yes.
I lived in the high desert with only a swamp cooler in the living room. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what
exactly.
It was only in the living room.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, I got some questions for you today. I would try to come up with some funny questions. Okay, some are funny and some are deep, and hopefully through all of this, maybe you'll gain like one little nugget that will help you go further in your marriage. That's what I'm really hoping. Maybe you guys will share some insight with us that'll help us go further and make it the next 20 years, right? So, Damion, could you please tell, what's one thing, the question is, what is one thing that most people don't know about me? And then also one thing most people don't know about you, but I gotta think about it. I hadn't thought of it. This is a new question, you guys. I didn't think about this.
as absolutely sweet and kind and loving you are not that affectionate. It's one of those things that you don't. You're not saying I'm a touchy-feely guy, as you can tell. I mean, I have my arm around Redmond's.
It's making me like lean forward. I'm like, oh.
And she,
thank you.
Sometimes when we're talking, she'll like stop touching me because I can't concentrate. But I'm very touchy-feely, and I was actually very, very shocked to learn later on into marriage that she really prefers not to. And she's actually...
That's not always true.
That's not always true. She can't be. She's a very loving person, no doubt. And anytime I do get to reach over and touch her, she's very, very accepting of that. And I can be clingy. But other than that, I just kick the tripod. I feel like Livy.
Yeah.
Other than that, that was a little bit of a surprise. Probably something people don't know about you.
Yeah,
and your actual, probably true introvertedness.
Oh, that's probably true.
Like last night, Julie was like doing a puzzle for probably 4 hours. And that's the only thing that'll keep her up past her typical bedtime of between 9 and 10 p.m. And she was like up till almost midnight last night.
Yep, doing a puzzle. How many of you guys are out there puzzle workers? And I was craving. Yeah, that's something he doesn't like. So that's one of our big differences.
Cindy says this because you're a first.
I know, it's probably true. I'm like, I got things to do, places
it's probably true, Cindy, because our firstborn.
And he's a baby of his family. So he's a baby. I'm a firstborn. So that's, works out good.
Your sister said, remember that first house that you guys had in Napa didn't have a niece?
Yeah, I know.
The one at Silverado?
Yeah.
Really?
It would have been so hot. It was like 113 heat index here on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
No, Saturday. Anyway, okay, so what's something about you that most people don't know? Let me think.
Where should you start?
Most people don't know that Damion gets shy when a camera is turned on him. I forgot that. Yeah, we did this filming for a Bravo show that we were doing, and so the producer literally came to me and he's like, could you please ask Damion to come out of his shell? Like, he's so like, all the time. And then when the camera goes on, he gets like shy. I don't know why. Anyway. Yeah, Shireen. Oh, she said, no, I'm not married. I'm a consummate study of marriage relationships. Thanks for being so transparent. Oh, we love you. Thank you. That's so sweet.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so when we got married, we're going way back. We got in a fight on our honeymoon night. Anybody ever do that? I think this is like the main deal with marriage is like you're always fighting the not reality, like the TV, like rom-coms, romantic comedies. Like I heard this thing yesterday on how all the lines in romantic comedies are awful. Like, you complete me. Like, they're total lies. And so we got in a fight on our honeymoon on the very first night.
You got to preface it though. Our marriage is a little bit rare. We did not live with each other before marriage. As far as anything sexual, Julie is my one and only. And so that was a choice on my own part based on just family past, things like that. It just wasn't an interest in my life. And it has to do with my faith too. Yeah. So, so that has to be prefaced.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, yeah, we never slept together before. And so on our wedding night, like, I woke up like crying in the morning, and he's like, "What's wrong?"
You woke up crying in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, and I was like, "I thought you were gonna hold me all night long." And he's like, "I've never slept with anybody in my whole life, like in my bed. What are you talking about?" Like that was the funny things is like trying to like navigate like what movies show you marriage is like, and then what real life shows you marriage is like. It was so silly, and we got in this big fight in honeymoon. And then a couple of days later, like I think I left the hotel, not left, but I like walked outside at the hotel. We were in a fight about something, and anyway, that's like real life, you guys.
Talk about discouragement, man. The way I feel like your wife's walking out, you're just like, well, not starting this off very good.
Anyway, so what was the hardest thing to get used to about being married? It's like those things that you're like, gosh, what do we do? How do we merge two lives to make one? Like, what was one of the hardest things you think was hard?
Sleeping together, having someone else in my bed. That was, because I didn't have, cousins, and I didn't grow up with sleepovers and stuff like that, and whatnot. But so I just having anybody physically in my bed was weird. I always run hot. She always runs cold. So I'll sleep outside the blanket sometimes, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm freezing." Yeah. But I think all of the above. I mean, when you get married and you join into another household, I mean, whether that's in marriage or not, it's always a challenging thing because you come from two different perspectives. It was a variety of things. I took over the finances because that was the different part on Julie's hand. Because she did things in a completely different way.
I knew how much money's in there, you guys. Hey, Mike. Good to see you. Mike Wilson said he loves us.
What's
hey,
up,
Brent.
Mikey? Yeah.
I know how much money was about in my checking account. You know, I'm one of those people that I don't know.
Yeah. It was pretty much all overdraft that was written in her checkbook. This was before online banking. So it actually is true. It only said overdraft. And she
did not.
And I just said, okay, sweetie. I said, now where's your records for your bills? And she's like, I don't have any. And I'm like, okay, I hope you don't mind, but I think I should take this over. And so I've been doing the finances since then. But I will tell you this. Julie actually runs and takes care of the books for our business to this day and has done it for over almost 8 years now.
I can't believe you trust me.
And she's done a phenomenal job. So that's just where we were and where we are now. So she's amazing at the books right now.
Oh, heavens.
Takes a lot off my plate in that regard.
So I think one of the hardest things for me was like every morning he would get cereal. So you know there's those things like when you grow up, like my mom always made us like breakfast and stuff, like toast and eggs and things like that. And so every morning when I woke up, I would make him breakfast. And he did not want to eat it, right? And I remember one day he's like, I was like, so like, why do you not want to eat this breakfast I'm making you? And he was like, well, if you ate cereal every day for 23 years, what would you want to do? And I was like, I'd want to eat something else. So that's another example of how like our coming together, you know, you have different ideas about even the way you eat breakfast or like my parents always had one dresser and then his parents had like two dressers and then we ended up having two, which I thought was really weird, but it's not. I mean, it's like, you know, just that weird stuff that you don't think about.
I think my parents eventually ended up buying one and sharing a dresser, but
yeah.
But we just come from such different paths.
Yeah.
I have a
totally different background.
We don't have time to go into my past and why my behaviors are the way they are. Majority, I mean, that's what I said to you about breakfast back then, but we all know it was a control issue.
Oh.
So,
19 years later, who knew? Wow.
And 19 years later, I will eat whatever she makes me for breakfast. Darn right. And but I did. And no disrespect to my parents. They worked both really hard. My mom worked nights, and so I wasn't expecting my mom to be up at 6 a.m. making me breakfast. So yeah, I was on my own with that. So that's cool. I got great cereal skills, although I can't eat it anymore.
I know. What's your favorite? Like, if you didn't have diet restrictions and all that, what would your favorite cereal be? Lucky Charms?
Oh my God, I'd be such a juvenile.
Wait, let me see if I can guess. Captain Crunch. No, not Captain Crunch. Hold on. Cinnamon Life.
Cinnamon Life, Captain Crunch, Crunch Berries.
Crunch Berries?
Yeah.
Blech.
I would eat across the board. I would do everything from shredded wheat Raisin Bran to grape nuts to Honey Nut Cheerios and Lucky Charms. Which is probably why I have so many health issues right now.
Shireen had a great question. It says, any tips on how to handle when your personal preference is not the same as your spouse, but that you're hurt and offended by your preferences, just like you're talking about? I can't see the rest of your comment, Shireen, but that's what I can read. So what do you do when you have differences? Cinnamon Life is everything. Fruity Pebbles!
Fruity Pebbles, yes. Gotta eat them quick, though. They get soggy, and that's
yeah.
nasty. So that is good. So personal preferences. You know, marriage is about. It's all about. I'm looking for the word. Compromise, sacrifice. You know, it starts with somebody, and it's always going to be one of you, and one of you is going to, in various circumstances of your marriage, is going to compromise and sacrifice more in the beginning, and it goes back and forth. I can honestly say, and Julie's probably going to deny this, but she's probably compromised and sacrificed more in our marriage, but that has a lot to do with our personality. It takes someone as incredible as Julie to be married to me.
Aww. So
you know it's true. Girl, you know it's true. Because I do have a rough past with, and especially with like control and having things in there, and I'm an artistic person.
And he's a high D on the disc.
Yeah.
Personality.
I'm a very dominant kind of person. Sorry.
Well, you're a good leader. That's what makes good leaders.
So, Shireen, to answer your question, really, it's going to be a relationship. You hear people make this comment all the time, and it's so wrong. And everyone says the relationship is 50-50, but it's actually not true. It's 100 and 100 because it's going to do this all the time. And you have to pick and choose what your fights are going to be. She likes to have piles on her desk, and that's how she stay organized. And I don't. I file things away. The desktop on my computer is very organized. All my photo systems, like how I can find photos all the way back to 1999 in a minute because I have a great organizational system. But it's not the way that she would do it. But she understands the way that I do it, and is understandable that way. But I also let Julie kind of do that, although I do maintain her computer too. And so,
well, she was asking what she just said, a comment about, like, what if you want to read and your person's upset because you want to read? And I think that's a great question because we have that actually dynamic. Like, Damion prefers to watch TV at night. I don't really love to watch TV, but I will watch TV so I can hang out with him. Right, I would rather take my book and go read in my room, but I will do that. And I think that's a good question, and it comes down to, too, like, that spouse, that other person you're with, I mean, they have to know you and also know the way that you function, right? Like, Damien's not going to be mad at me if I go in my room to read at night because he knows I'm not rejecting him. It's just that I need some time to, like, to be myself. I have to have some quiet time to myself. But then I can sacrifice that at the same time to watch TV with him because to him that's hanging out and having fun. And
sometimes, like, her way of recharging because of her personality type, being an introvert, is definitely to give me some alone time, give me a book and do that. For me, I do work a lot of evenings, so but when I get off of work, I've been around people, and being an extrovert, I'm charged. And so when I get home, it's hours before I can get my brain to shut down and do that. And doing something as mind-numbing as TV, and it really is. It's not about even the entertainment value. It's just mind-numbing. It allows me just to sit and get my focus on that and get my brain off of everything else. So I sit. I'll do that. So a lot of times she'll go to bed, read her book, thing like that, and I might do that. But that's such a big question Shireen asked. That's a really big question, Shireen. But again, it really comes down to compromise. And over the years, and we could tell stories, trust me, of big fights, big problems, things like that. But over 19 years, it's just been learning to. It's also knowing that it's that trust that we've established, and over the years of watching that compromise go back and forth, that I've known that Julie, no matter what she does, she's on my side. Like, this is my best friend. Team. She's on the same team. She's not against me. She's for me. And knowing that when she does something, when you know the heart of the person, when an action happens, that changes the way your response is to it. So I know she's on my side. So
that's good.
So when I'm hearing you consider each other's personal needs, absolutely.
Trying to, and I think you have to know that person too. You know, and know what's their love language. If their love language is spending time together, so my love language is probably gifts, time. That's my 2 ones. His top love languages are words. Words are actually my last. So
word and physical touch.
Yeah, and physical touch, and those are kind of my last ones. So, you have to, understand that person as well. Thank you, Mom, and thank you, Patty. Yeah, so good. All right, I have a question that I want to ask you. That was such a good question. Thank you for asking that, Shireen.
That's good.
That was great. Okay, one of the things I wanted to ask was, what are some of the roughest times that we've been through? Some people think, they may look and think, oh, it's perfect. You guys have always gotten along. You've got this great marriage and you've lasted 19 years. What are some of the, biggest struggles that we've been through, the hardest times?
Some things people may not know about me is I'm a big crier. So this will be emotional for me. Because asking questions like that has to make me think back to some things that are painful.
Then we'll talk about the good times after that.
We will. Because I've caused a lot of pain to Jules. So, but I'm really thankful for where we're at. But sorry, the question's already got me. Can you repeat the question again for me?
Looking back over the years, what do you think have been some of our biggest times of struggle? our hardest times? Like,
oh, that's no doubt our first 2 years. Yeah, first 2 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised we made it 2 years.
Yeah, Julie was. So we just shared that story because that really is the hardest time we've ever had. Was around year 2, middle to toward the end. Have a 3-month-old daughter, and I come from a background that verbally wasn't really good. An environment that was a little bit different, and so, I didn't know how to love my wife the way that that I wanted to, and nor the way that really the Bible says you should. And that's really my guideline is that regardless of what people say about God and Jesus, he sure does know how to love people, and he knows how to be sacrificial, and that's the best training manual you could ever get. And so Julie was expecting something different, but for me, there was a lot of verbal stuff in my household, and I just didn't walk away. I didn't get away from that. It was still really deep in me. Everyone talks about baggage. That was baggage that I brought into our marriage. And so, so I was really verbally abrasive to Julie. We're not talking about cussing. I would just say things just blunt that were just really cutting to a woman, that definitely didn't increase your self-esteem about yourself, not only mentally or physically, things like that. But so it took an interaction of some really good friends that had amazing marriages. In fact, it was a pastor at a church of ours. His name was Bob Raber, just a dear friend who just kind of got up in my grill and said, you need to do something, and you need to do something now. And I mean today, because your wife's about to walk. I was clueless, absolutely clueless. He's like, your wife's going to walk out on you. And I'm like, what? No, she's not. And he's like, yeah, like we just talked. And like I was just so clueless to the symptoms and everything that was going on. So that was the hardest thing, because the worst advice that anyone, this is the thing that I hear all the time in people who are in relationships that are struggling. Well, she wants me to be somebody that I'm not, and I'm not about to change. Well, maturity is change. Everyone has to change.
Wow, that's good.
And that's just part of growing, and that's maturity. And if you're not willing to change, then you're immature. I'm being pretty blunt right now, but that's my personality. I'm just going to tell how it is. So I was approached, and it basically just meant that I needed to change some things right away. I needed to learn how to love my wife appropriately, and so it took. And even the gentleman Mike, who I don't know if he's still on right now, Mike was a part of that. I ended up being a part of a men's group and getting together with a bunch of guys that just were there to support me in my frustration while I tried to walk through this process of changing my personality and mindsets, of learning how to speak things that were encouraging, or in ways, learn how to change my language, ways that were acknowledging Julie's beauty, or her hard work, or how an amazing mother she was, but just how to really, really, really love her the way that she needed me to. See, marriage is a choice. Love's a choice, and I chose at that moment. I had no desire to be separated from my bride. I made a promise to her, and so at that particular point, it was no, this isn't an option. In fact, that was something we were talking about earlier. We don't ever speak the word divorce in our house, and it's never been in our vocabulary since we've been married. It's not an option, zero option whatsoever. And that's in my personality too, as well as Julie's, but it's the way I run my business. It's the way I go about my personal life, my marriage, anything that I'm involved in, I put 110% into it. And that's it. I don't give up. And so I wasn't going to give up. So it took me so I'd broken Julie's trust. So that was the hardest time. I'd broken your trust. So Julie didn't really believe the things that I said anymore, even if I told her I loved her. It was about a good 5 years to earn that back. I think when I could really see in her eyes that when I told her I loved her, that she actually would receive it. So that was the hardest time ever for me, was knowing in my heart how much I loved and desired you, but And then, probably the second one would have been, I've had some physical challenges that have taken away some things, and that affected her too. And so, saying things without action was really rough. So,
So
boy,
true.
Melissa just joined in, like, sees us crying right now. She's like, what is going on?
I think too, that was like, I mean, I'm surprised we made it past year 2, but, I can't believe sometimes I'm like, I can't believe we made it to 19. But I think too, like when I was going through that like, really bad, like anxiety, that was one of the, I think it's funny because you go back and forth, like there's times when he's going through something and then you're the support, and there's times where you're going through something and they're the support, and you kind of go back and forth with your things. I think when I had severe anxiety and like it was like a really awful time and my mind was not right and I ended up having to go on medication and stuff, but it was like one thing I learned from that was like what a good caregiver you were. Like that, I think coming out of that season before that with that whole marriage thing you're talking about, and then going into a season where I needed help, and then he was like my rock to stand on. I think that really also showed me how much he cared.
Because that was about 5 years. That was right at the 5-year mark.
Yeah, that was about then. Like that was.
So that was just huge. A big switch.
Yeah.
If that situation would have happened at the 3-year mark. Yeah. I mean, you didn't even trust me at that time.
Yeah, it's true.
That would have been hard. That would have been hard. And Shireen used the right word. You're so true. The best word is perseverance. That's for sure.
He did, and he worked really hard at it. And I think that was, and I think that's like, and I think. Like, if I could say anything about being married a long time, it's like, it does really come down to a choice. Like, there's going to be seasons where you're not even going to like that person sometimes, and they're going to get on every nerve that you have, like your very last nerve, and you're going to still choose. You're still going to come down to, I said, in richer for poorer, for in sickness and in health, for worse for better. It's like a choice that you made at that moment when you took that vow. Yeah. And there's times when you don't even like that person. You're not always going to feel like passionately in love with them, but it comes to a choice, like you choose. And I think the one thing that we talk about a lot is that it comes down to a choice where as you go on longer in life, it even comes down to the choice where you start to realize that like everything that you built together, your family, your business, your home, everything like that, that there is really nothing worth throwing that away for. Right? We talk about that a lot. Like, you could take one night of pleasure with that man or woman or whatever that makes you feel awesome or whatever it is that, like, attracts you about them. But it's, like, not worth the choice that you would make to throw everything away. Like, all the trust away, all the faithfulness away, your kids', hearts away, your husband's heart away, like, your family. What do you think, can you speak to that? Like, there's something that we kind of talk about, like, it gets to the point where you just choose because you know what's on the line.
Everyone asks, like, well, how do you stay in love? Well, when you sacrifice so much back and forth and you compromise, like Julie, she may deny this, but I will tell you that I think Julie has to work a little bit harder in our relationship to love me and make this happen, because I am not the easiest person in the world, by far.
But I can be a challenge too, you guys. So I don't want to like leave it like hanging like that.
Yes, we're all, but I'm a little bit higher. So no
on
denying.
A scale of 1 to 10.
Denying. On a scale of 1 to 10,
how hard are you?
She's an 8. I'm a 10. So, but yeah, I want to actually. We've talked about this many times. I want to speak to that thing where she's talking about these, these guys that just throw their marriages away and things like that, and just don't even count. Like you might like share some actual stories, like when I've been in like the city.
Totally, go. Yeah.
So in my job, I've done like large events where you're in the city and you're around the socialites and things like that, and you get around honestly a lot of lonely people. I've sat next to millionaires and billionaires, and this is when you're sitting there talking to them, and then they point out their wife, and they're like, yeah, this is the fifth night of the year where she gets to get out and have fun and whatnot. But I've had married women just like approach me because I have a camera in my hand and I'm walking around, San Francisco City Hall, an event, and they just go, hey, you want
all the cougars.
I wasn't going to use that word, but she threw it out. So I've had a lot of women approach, and I don't want to use the word hit on me, but
you can say that.
Yeah,
They do.
pretty blunt. You know, they always start with a line, "Nice camera. You want to take my picture?" But I had one particular encounter that actually lit me up pretty good, where the gal actually came up and just like, you know, put her hand up on my shoulder and said, "Hey, you want to take my picture?" When actually I wasn't there to photograph people. I was there to actually photograph the overall design of the event. And of course I turned my shoulder to get her hand off my shoulder. And I said, "No, I'm good, thank you." And she's all, you know, kind of hinting to the point of, "What are you doing later?" And I said, and that's usually when I open up my phone, and I have a picture of my family on my phone, and I have it there for a reason. And I pretty much turned to her and I said, "Later, I'm going home to my wife and my kids." And she goes, "Oh, well, that's okay." Assuming what she was saying in that regard was, I don't care that you're married or you have a wife and kids. And so I proceeded to throw my camera over my shoulder. That's when I use camera straps. And I turned to this woman and I said, "Shame on you." And I never like using that word.
I never heard this story before.
I never like using that word. I said, "Here you are. I show you a picture of my family. Tell you that I'm going home to my family. But you're sitting here willing for your own little pleasure to destroy the future that my daughters have, just so you can have a good time. You're willing to take the father away from my children. You're willing to take away a husband from a wife who has sacrificed immeasurable things that you would never imagine for a good time." And I took great insult to that, and have no problem staying after that, because I'm not even gonna dance with that. And she was pretty shocked, and actually just walked away finally. I almost wanted to go, wait, I'm not done.
Come back.
You know? But, you know, and that was a real conversation. And I've had similar, not as intense as that one, but instances where it did. But I just, as a husband, I was like, you don't know what this woman has done over years to stand by my side and love this. You don't know what it's taken to do that. And that's what makes me love her more and more. Everyone goes, "How can you love someone? How can you say the words, 'Oh, I love her more than I did 20 years ago'?" It's because of the sacrifice that she's made over the 20 years. She's been by my side to deal with my past issues and control issues and trying to run a business and now even the last 6-7 years of physical and health issues. She's been by my side. She's my greatest supporter and my cheerleader. Like, I wouldn't be a photographer or in my business if it wasn't for her encouragement. The encouragement that she brings to you guys every day. That's what I get in my own house.
Aww.
You know, see, Julie isn't. I just want to throw this out. This is my time to give my wife. This is my time to give my wife some props. You guys have been watching her for months and months and months, and I want you to know that who Julie is when she's on here is who I get every day, and everything about her is about as real as it gets. And I think that's what's so amazing about her, is it's so authentic. Like, these things that Julie comes up with, her topics and her questions, this is just stuff that flows through this brain, which makes me go, where does this come from? You know? And so, I just want you guys to know that who you get every day when she sits down in front of you is real. Julie is who she is when she sits down in front of you on this couch, as she is when she's down there in the kitchen, loving her family, supporting them, when she's at our church serving there, or whether we're out on date night. She is really genuinely that encouraging, that loving. And I've been really, really lucky. I mean, true story, men, we always marry up. And I married up, like really up. I'm a very, very fortunate guy. I just couldn't imagine anybody else that could love me the way that she loves me. So
thank you. That's really sweet.
I will, Sarah. I'll go on, buddy. That's right. I'll preach this up about my
really
woman.
Sweet. Thank you.
She is, and Angie, you're so right. And you know what, Pam, right there, Pam Ingberson, who just commented, said, "So thankful you two are choosing to love and faithfulness together." I want you guys to know this.
We talk about this all the time.
We talk about this all the time. So Pam and Eric are actually one of the integral couples that actually approached us when we went through that hard time we discussed about earlier, when our marriage almost separated. About 6 months in, they had said something. It was actually interesting. It was just so many times of us. Here's my wife crying. Here's Damion at the side, and I'm going, oh God, man, And at 6 months in, when I'm choosing to try and change, here I am standing up in front of a bunch of people who love us, but I'm just getting really tired of being the guy that's always doing it wrong. I was just getting so frustrated. So I was trying so hard. But they said something really good that was awesome, and I'm gonna get a little spiritual here. Pam and Eric looked at Julie, not me, which was awesome. This was the first time I was going, yay, it wasn't all me. It was one time. And they basically just said, you need to stop fighting Damion, and you need to start fighting the spirit that's behind his behavior. And what it meant is you need to look back on where my past was and realizing where that stuff was coming from. It wasn't really me. This is deep. This is deep relational stuff. It's choosing to love somebody is choosing to see past what their environment or their circumstances caused, and seeing who the person really is. See, Julie actually, our marriage wasn't exactly one that I would say that and I'm not calling mom or dad out, but I'm pretty sure that while we were engaged, I know dad for sure would have preferred a different man. But here's the thing, is that God spoke to Julie and said, in a nutshell, and I'm paraphrasing, that she was to marry me because there was going to be better things to come out of me. And she wanted to see that. And hopefully she's been able to. And so she stuck by it. And it's because she looked past all that baggage and saw the potential in me. And let me just say, Julie's not the fixer. Okay, we can't fix people. We still have to make a choice. I made a choice. I wanted to change, but he can use people, and he used Julie. He used Pam and Eric. He used Bob Raber and a few other really integral people, Mike Wilson, and a lot of people who just stepped in her life. People who were of the same interest. They wanted marriages to last and go on for a while, and so I surrounded myself with that. Like, the worst thing is, if you're struggling in your marriage, don't go hang out with divorced people.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you could possibly do. And I see it all the time. Oh, yeah, my marriage is sucking, so let's go get in the group with the people who are going to bash marriage.
I know how to do it. I've done it 3 times.
All right.
No,
let's
then
go
you don't
do
know how
this.
to do it.
Then you don't know how to do it. If you're struggling in your relationship and marriage, don't hang out with people who struggle in relationship and marriage. Go hang out with the people who've been doing it for years.
People that look like what you want to look like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And that was huge. Because if we would have gone the other route, we would not be in front of you. I would not have a second child. I would not probably be a photographer. We always talk about what we'd be if we weren't married. And I always thought, I'd be a wealthy, lonely workaholic. And I'd be good at it.
And I think the other thing that Pam and Eric said that really impacted me was...
What was that?
She said,
who are you guys?
Who are you guys? We're Julie and Damion. Nice to see you.
We're so glad we found you
too,
Rachel.
The other thing Pam and Eric said to us was, like, you're on the same team. Remember? Like, they were like, you're on the same team. You have to stop fighting each other and start fighting the things that are coming against you. So they also said, remember, like, if Damion would get, like, really angry and this would super annoy him, like, the more angrier and louder he got, I would start doing the opposite. So the more angry and louder he got, the quieter I would get, and I would just like not in meek, but just like respond to like the spirit that he was coming in. I would do like the opposite one. Yeah.
So she just chose not to
like engage
or feed that.
Yeah. And
it was true. And it lit, oh my gosh, it frustrated the heck out of me. I just wanted to go, woman, fight! Come on, do something! Throw some, come on, let's go! And she would do nothing. She'd just be like, there. It's okay. She would just do that. And it took a good year. Yeah. Frustrated, but what she did though, is she changed that in me. Like, she completely started to just quench that out in me. Like, we rarely get that hot. But when we do, it's hot. But we rarely get that heated in an argument. But yeah, so she really quenched. I think that's a good word. She just began to just quench that fire that was kind of in me, wanting to do that. But she's just so calm and patient. She just started to shut it down year by year, and yeah, and it still works. We just don't. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. We definitely don't. We don't fight like we used to. We fight better.
Teddy said, "Oh, I used to do the same thing to Mark. I know it drives him crazy. Like
it does.
Not responding.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Do it. Okay, so you were talking about fighting well, and it's hilarious. I just want to bring this up because I was asking him yesterday. Hey, what's one time that you saw a side of me that you'd never seen before? And I was thinking, like, when I saw him be a dad, like, become a dad, or, like, just different sides that you see. Or, like for me right now, like, when Damion wants to take a risk, that's exciting to me. Because I'm like, oh, he's not a risk taker. And so if he wants to take a risk. Oh, my mom said, love you guys. So glad Julie saw the potential in you and stuck to her guns, even though it was tough in the beginning. God knew everything. And has blessed you guys and us so much. It's so true.
Mom stuck by me.
I love you, Mom.
Mom stuck by me too.
I know. She supported you.
We have a background, don't we, Mom? I remember the day that relationship was completely healed.
Yeah.
It was cool. Anyways, so thankful for that.
So I was asking him, what's the time you saw a side of me you never saw before? And then you want to tell him, and then we can talk about fighting.
Okay. So Julie was pregnant, and this was in that
very pregnant.
First 2 years. So we're like in that 1.5 year period where marriage was already brutal. And I don't remember, she might, but because she remembers stuff that, like who bought us bowls for our wedding. But
I don't remember.
To this day, I've never seen Julie this angry.
He has a special ability to make me angry.
Don't we all? And so in this particular moment, that was a side of Julie that I had never seen. She's got this little vein that when she's mad that comes down in her head.
Can you see it right now?
This thing like came out. But this was an intense. We were in the bathroom in our little place, and I don't know what the conversation was about, but I lit her up, and I lit her up something fierce because this woman got nose to nose with me. I mean, we're talking like this with her eyes just. And she was up in my grill on her tippy toes, touching her nose to my nose, and like going, back off. And I was in my brain, I was just like, dang, and hi Shayna, welcome. And so that freaked me out. And you, by all means, I am. When she touched me, I'm not a physical person in that regard, and I backed it up. And so
how pregnant hormones can get to.
Yeah, it was pregnancy.
Although we've been nose to nose a couple of times.
It was also husbandly, and yeah, probably more so, and then top off with some pregnancy hormones, and because you were probably like 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
And she screamed louder than I've ever heard her yell. That was for sure.
Really? Louder than I ever yelled at the kids?
Close.
Oh yeah, wow. Kids and husbands do that too. Oh, what about fighting fair? Like, I think we're pretty good fighters. We're pretty good at fighting. Do you think we're good at fighting?
So I think we're good at fighting. I think we just had to learn how we fight. Like Julie is so humble and very, very quick to admit she's wrong in an area if she is. It's very rare, and as well to apologize and use the words "forgive me," because anyone can say "I'm sorry." Yeah. We use "will you please forgive me." Me, on the other hand, I have to process it. I am not really. This is why this makes me nervous. I'm not really good with deep questions on the fly.
You're doing great.
I'm like, could I at least study for a day, please? Nope, we're doing this on the fly. Thank you, honey.
I texted you the questions last night, like 11 o'clock.
I know, but I had a shoot last night. I had to. Anyways.
I'm just kidding. You're doing great.
No, we're doing fine. So, what was I saying?
Fighting.
So she's really quick to forgive and to make it right, to say forgive me. I, on the other hand, need a couple of hours, and she's
time to process.
And that used to frustrate her. Because she'd be like, oh, you're wrong, but you won't apologize. And I'm like, I have to cool down and I have to process it. I need to really, and because I'm naturally, because of my background, I'm naturally a hothead, and which is why I cut the hair. No, yeah, I'm just a hothead, so I have a tendency to react rather than respond, and in my desire to be more of a responder rather than a reactor, has been to just, I need that time. And this is something like pretty recent, like in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like she discovered, like, 16 years in the marriage, and like, oh. So we finally,
give him some time. He'll be fine.
She goes, just let him cool off. I usually have to go by myself, and I just have to go through the whole conversation and really hear what Julie has been saying. Men go to their caves. Women like to dig in. That's so true.
That is true.
So that's
one thing I like about the way we fight is we never call each other names.
Never.
Like that's something we just established from the beginning, is like we never say names or insults.
Never.
Like when we're fighting. I mean, we could be like, hey, you were being a jerk, but I mean, I don't think we really even say that, but I mean, just like we could say like the reality of what we feel like. I feel like you're doing this, or you treated me like this, I felt like that. But we never are like, you're a loser, you're whatever people say. I don't even know.
We never tear anyone down. We never tear each other down. We'll fight our case, and we'll defend our case.
Like the first day we moved into this house, we kind of were arguing about something really loud, and all the windows were open. And Miranda was like, oh my gosh, they're going to think we just argue all the time. So that brings up a great question of arguing in front of kids.
Ooh,
somebody, Nancy asked that.
Do
your children see you? If your children see you arguing, do they see you apologize to each other? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think they see her apologize because she does it so quickly. But I'll admit that's something that Nancy brought up a good question. That's something that convicts me because it makes me go, oh, I do usually take that time, and usually when I have that time away, then Julie almost knows the timing of it, and she'll, come over to where I am, and then we have that discussion, and I apologize, I cry, and then I hug her, which actually is pretty much the order it goes in. So I think that if you do, I personally don't like to fight in front of my children. Of course, it depends on what it is. I think that's just the reality. Julie, we were talking about this before we started. It's a reality. Kids need to see life, and they need to see your parents work out. But what Nancy said is seeing you apologize too is part of that healthy relationship that your kids should see. So they see mom probably more because she's so quick to do it. But they probably don't see me do it all, which is probably more important, especially as a father to daughters. So that's actually a really big convicting point here. I know there's been time, I know that I've done this many, many times, that when I have fought in front of the kids, we rarely fight, but when we do, it can be fairly intense sometimes. And this makes us laugh because it upsets our kids so much when they see it, especially our youngest one, because she's more of my personality, real sensitive. Not so much our oldest, but our youngest one. Like, are you guys going to get a divorce? We're like, we fought once in a year. That's what we say in our mind. But she, so I usually, but a lot, what I will do is I'll go to the girls, especially when I'm wrong in a big way. I have gone to the girls separately and asked them to forgive me for arguing and yelling or stepping out of line or something like that. So I will make it right with them individually if I need to. That's for sure.
I love that. Okay, and then I got just a couple more questions, and then we'll just this is going on a long time, I think.
What if I do your friend too?
I know, we love you, Sheena. Okay, so now we're gonna dig some dirt. Are you guys ready for some dirt? We're gonna talk about? Tell me what it is. Something about me that what do I do that annoys you? And then I'll say something about you that annoys me. There's a bunch of stuff. He's trying to pick which one, you guys.
Oh man, this is so funny.
Yeah, Tara, exactly.
What'd she say? My husband knows I'm a reactionary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he doesn't engage, and then they process and.
Tom, it's a trap. Get out, dude! Run! dude. I know all the guys are about to go on. Dude, shut up, dude. Don't say anything, bro. Don't do it. I know that's what he's doing. He's like, bruh, come on. I think honestly, I know that there's little things. I think there's not like something that like, oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. Like really hasn't, because I think we know each other so well. But there's little things. I think if there's anything that's annoying, it would probably have to do with your organizational stuff. Like you open up the drawer on her desk and it's just, it doesn't make sense. But that's just my weird brain. Like, I open up the drawer and thing to get a pencil and a pen. It's not just a pencil and pen. There's pepper spray and, exercise straps for her iPhone. And I'm like,
a bird guide.
And you're just like, what?
Tabs.
So,
oops. I have my battery on.
Yeah. So
there's worse things, you guys. He's just being really nice right now.
Really? What worse things could you think of?
I don't know.
You like how I flipped that around, guys? That's pretty good, huh? So tell me.
I don't know.
What annoys me?
All kinds of stuff. When I move his stuff, it annoys him.
Oh.
Well,
even when I had my other job, guys used to go to my desk and they'd move things around on purpose.
Sometimes we do stuff.
Grab Damion's stapler, put it on the other side.
Yeah. Ooh,
I am a little OCD like that.
He was really annoyed last night because he was trying to. He does like, okay, you have to realize he's a man of routine. He's a man of routine, so he does the same stretches every night. And while he was doing his stretches, I was tickling him. That was super annoying.
Stop it! She was. I'm a man of routine because if I don't put my car keys in my wallet or certain things in the same place, I'll lose them. Yeah. And I can't stand that.
Systems.
Can't stand it because I don't like being late. So I like being on time. That's one for sure. Like, yeah, Julie's idea of going to the airport is let's show up right when they begin boarding. And I like to be. It's okay. Did you hear that?
He likes to be there 2 hours before we start.
I like to be sitting at the airport by the gate, eating breakfast, knowing that I'm all good. But I think majority is because most of my flying time is done job related. So I just want to make sure I'm there. So.
All right. Hey, Will, good to see you. Okay. So what do you do that annoys me?
You already asked me that one.
No, what do you do that annoys me?
But you're supposed to answer that question.
I know, but I'm turning it back on you like you did.
Oh. What do I do that annoys you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
What? Drum. Yes, that is one thing.
That's all I have to do.
Stop it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I get. That's it right there. And ask every elementary school teacher, every school teacher I had pretty much.
No, you guys, he does this in bed and it makes me seasick. He literally shakes our bed playing the stinking drums in bed.
I've never owned a drum set, and if I have to practice before I play for church, if I don't get down to the church, then just play on.
Oh, brother. Get me out of here.
Is that a good one?
Yeah, I think that's very annoying. That's very good. But you just learn to deal with each other.
That's right.
Last question. If you have a couple, a guy that's trying to learn how to love his wife, and what tip would you give a guy to love his wife well? What do you think you've learned in 19 years that somebody who just came, I'm looking at TC, he's about to get married, buy the boy a drum set. I know, for real. Come on.
I had plans for this area in our room where this couch is sitting, but it didn't end up that way. This was a perfect opportunity for a drum set, but it didn't work. So, I'm sorry. So, TC's about to get married.
Yeah.
What advice do I have
what advice would you have for a man that, what have you learned in 19 years? Anything about women?
Rachel's, it sounds like that one hit a nerve. Daily. What advice would I have? Prepare to die. And what I mean by that is it's a biblical term. It's dying unto yourself. A man's going to get married. Repeat that.
What advice would you give a man who's trying to learn how to love a woman
well? Love a woman. Okay. Yeah. You're going to have to give up a lot because you're going to have to learn to change. And I had to learn how
Wow,
to
that's
love
true.
my wife. And by dying, it means, it doesn't mean you give up. Everyone for a season has to give up ideas, dreams, things like that. I have lots of ideas and dreams. I haven't given up on them, but there's been definitely times in my life and in my marriage where I've had to set those things aside and say, I choose that. So 2 years into our marriage, I set everything aside. Like there was no more me. It was all this, because I wanted to be right where we are today. And so I had to stop and make it work. So for a guy who's about to get married, who wants to learn how to love, you need to surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with men who know how to love. Find some older guys for sure, men that have been married, 25, 30 years, that have been through every stage, the 7, the 10, the 13, the 15 years, because there are stages in your marriage and so forth, who have gotten past that whole midlife, kind of thing. I don't believe in midlife crises. I just think it's just another stage in that marriage where you just have to you have to put everything aside and make a decision to love. So surround yourself with men, because we are a product of our environment. And my environment produced a product that wasn't exactly the best for marriage, and so I had to change my environment and the people that I surrounded myself with to give me the proper tools and things to make this succeed. But it's a two-way street too. When we went through that hard time in our second year of marriage, Julie she still had to, on top of the pain that she was dealing with and the healing from that first 2 years, she still had to make a lot of sacrifices and decisions to choose to believe me, trust, semi-trust me, but give me the opportunity to make it right. So it was very, very, very much a hard work on her part too.
I think if you were asking the same question, like, what about ladies learning how to love their men well, I would say 2 things. One is, we have to let go of perfection. Like, we can have that thing where we expect men to be perfect. Like, we see the movies or whatever, we see, like, our image of what we think men should be like, or maybe we grew up with your dad that you, like, idolized. And I think that we do men a real disservice by expecting them to be perfect. And they do the same to us, by expecting perfection. And he's never going to be perfect. He's never going to complete you. You just need to know that and be able to find, like, your wholeness and your healing, like, in God, and in the places that you, and even in yourself, in the sense, like, he doesn't complete me. I mean, he's a part of me, and we're part of each other and we built something together, but if something happened to him, I would still be a whole person. Right, And so, anyway, I would say, like, let go of the perfectionism. We just expect so much. I mean, so much weight. So many times I have to remind myself, and over the years I've had to just let go of so many things. I love what Shayna said. My husband's a great example of a great husband. 25 years married. We still giggle with each other all the time. Keep it up, you guys. We've got to work. Love you, Shayna.
Love you, Shayna.
And I think the other thing that I was really on my heart to share was that, you can be in a situation where you're like, oh, I know I'm supposed to honor my husband, but I can't honor him. There's nothing to honor him about. I mean, and you feel like there's nothing that he does that I want to honor. Okay, first of all, let's back it up, because what's going to happen is that there are things that he's doing that you can honor, whether it's playing with your child, or taking out the trash, or going to work every day. And then what's going to happen is, somebody explained to me one time, it's like an empty water bottle with confetti in it. And the more that you fill up that water, the water that you're filling in is going to be water of your praise, water of your honor, words to him, water of thanks. And the more that you fill that bottle up with water, the confetti, the good stuff, it's going to rise to the top. And that's what's going to happen is like the more that you say to your husband, wow, thank you for being the leader of our home, he is going to become that leader. The more that you say, thank you, you know, for being a man of honor in our home or whatever it is, he's going to rise to that occasion. He will, but it's hard when you feel like there's nothing to honor, you know, but you have to dig for it, guys. Dig for the thing to honor in him and show him, because men want to be appreciated. They want to be respected and honored, right? And when you feel like your woman respects you, wow, you probably feel like a superhero, right? Do you?
That's just not a man thing. It's just the way we're wired.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, yeah, I so desire Julie's acceptance, and like nobody makes me feel more amazing than her. And like in the days that I discourage men, things like that, if Julie says that you can do it, and but she always says more than that. You know, when she tells me that I have the ability to do something, that empowers me greater than anybody else. So, but yeah, I mean, even want to go on that. I want to touch base even on that thing that we were just saying about that whole honor thing. Like, I'm jumping back to this because it was just such a good example and things that you had to do too. Back to that first, 2 years of marriage, Julie was pretty broken. Like I'd cut her up pretty bad as far as, emotionally and things like that. And so here we were back at this place, and, I have this conversation with many people who are struggling in relationships and marriage. And when they are, just like, oh, so-and-so's doing this, blah, blah. He's like this, and that. I'm like, great. So which one of you is going to be the mature person and make the decision that I'm going to make this work and I'm going to do what it takes? That requires humility on your part, because for her to honor me after 2 years of me saying, oh, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this finally. Well, she'd been hearing horrible things over 2 years. What grounds did she have to believe? It's bless you.
Excuse me.
2 times.
Oh.
Any more?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, she had to humble herself and choose to honor me in ways. And she started doing that. She started saying things to me that in the beginning didn't seem much, and I know were incredibly difficult for her. But over time, just those little bits of praise, encouragement, and thankfulness that she would throw out my way just began to build me up. And it actually communicated a little bit of, affection and, toward me, and it just encouraged me even more to keep going. And of course, as time goes on, you'll see that other person, as you do that, the question might come as this: why do you keep saying those things? Mm-hmm. And they might be doubtful, and that's when your honest thing is. You
asked me that one time.
Yeah, that's right, I did.
Yeah. Why
do you keep saying those things? And do you remember what your answer was?
No.
That's okay. Neither do I. But the reason why is your answer to that is I believe in you, and I believe in us.
There you go.
And I want you to know that I love you, and I think that you're amazing, and I stand behind you, and I want to be your encourager. And when you do that, you'll see the atmosphere of your household and your marriage just completely start to change. But when you reach that point, when that atmospheric change happens, it's pretty awesome. But up until that, it's tough. But marriage just requires so much maturity and sacrifice on people, and somebody is going to be sacrificing something way more than the other person during those times of real struggles and trial, no doubt. But that's what got me through. Was Julie was just, she was just throwing these little things out. They would just kind of, hit me on the side. Like, why did she say that? What? And even I was having trust issues where she doesn't believe anything I say.
Right.
She surely doesn't mean that. I'm like, girl's playing me, man. What's the plan? Is she like, going after my life insurance? Or, stuff like that. So
we didn't have life insurance back then.
We didn't. I always joke that she married me for my money, but all she got was debt.
Oh, Anna said you're sharing a lot of wisdom.
Oh, hi, Anna. Thank you. So that was it is. Exactly, Jessica. You got it. Encouragement. So Julie had no place or desire to encourage, but she did, and that began even more to speed up the healing process of our marriage. So,
Yeah.
it's advice. The only other question that you didn't answer was Nancy. She asked
Yeah.
about date night.
Yes, Nancy asked, do we have a date night and make it a priority on weeks or monthly, or what's your answer to that?
So we make it a priority. However, it's hard for us to schedule because we live a unique life. Julie, as you know, both of our kids are independent study, although we have one that just graduated. So she's a full-time teacher. She's full-time with our business. And of course, because we are self-employed, our schedule is just so unpredictable. I could get a call for a job tomorrow or Monday, or we could plan something for, hey, date night's Monday night, and I can get a job and we go, yeah, we kind of got to take this.
Yeah.
Got to pay them bills.
Yep.
But we do make it a priority. I absolutely love date night because there's nobody I would rather hang out with than her. Like Jules she's my best friend. Like we can hang out.
Well, I think that's when we realized we weren't cause we could go all these places and never get tired of each other on vacation.
Yeah.
Because we work together and we live together, of course. But he works at home, so we're together.
Not to say we don't ever get tired of each other. Julie will definitely go, I'm gonna go read a book.
Yeah.
I'm like, you go, girl. You do that.
Oh, there's Gabby. She said it takes work and humbleness in both parts and lots of love. You're so right. So many of you guys on here have amazing marriages, and I'm so honored that you just even tuned in because you guys have some great tips for us. We were talking about Levi yesterday. Levi
and Jessica.
Weren't we?
We were. I think it was more about how old we were because Levi was in our 5th grade Sunday school class.
I know.
And the dude's got
family,
kids, and he's working out and getting all them big muscles. And he's got a beautiful wife, and oh man, he's got kids, and we're just like, because Jules was talking about what would we say your first kindergarten class that you taught in? Would now have graduated college.
Yes.
Dope.
Yikes. Anyway, all right. Well, let us know if you guys have any marriage advice for us.
Yeah.
Tell us what we can do to get to year 40. We're on 19. We got to get 20 more years, right? So let us know what we can do to get to year 40. We love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Yeah. It's been so fun. Thanks for just letting us share and be
Unless you have more questions, pop them up. We can procrastinate for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
You can just sit here and stare at me.
I think we had another
awkwardly
question.
I've never done this live thing, so this is kind of fun. This is kind of cool because nobody had done was like, Damion. What's up?
Pick up your socks. Yeah, pick up your... I had a great tip.
No.
It's me.
My side of the room is very clean.
No, you didn't, Dylan, but it's okay. He's used to it. He said, I don't know if I spelled it right.
No, he didn't. You didn't spell it right.
It's okay. It's
Damion. It's spelled with an O.
10 years. Awesome, Rachel. Thanks for tuning in. So great to see all your little comments coming up. Congratulations.
Think about it. What's the average length of a marriage today? 3 years? The most?
7 or something?
Levi, do you know? You probably know.
Who knows? Somebody Google
Someone knows
quick.
those stats.
The average length
it's not very long. And of course, if you're in Hollywood, it's 6
Dylan
months.
said one big tip for somebody that's about to get married.
One? Yeah, man. Gosh, I wish you need to watch this whole thing. Go back through. There's a bunch of tips for you.
Yeah.
So start from the beginning, Dylan, please. Because we have a number there for you.
Yeah.
All right.
The big one is sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
It's 100-100, not 50-50.
Honor that wife, man.
Yeah. Love her.
Set aside those dreams and goals. I didn't say give up. I said set aside, and just focus on getting that marriage going. It's the most important thing for sure. I could have done a better job at that in the beginning for sure. Could have done a better job in asking your dad for your hand too. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
It's always first piece of advice if you're thinking about getting married or engaged. Definitely ask the dad first.
Beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Rather than just calling him up and going, "Hey, I'm going to marry your daughter."
Hey, we got engaged.
Oh man, he's like, "Oh dang."
I know.
It is. I did. Yeah, I had no example in that arena, so ooh man.
You can imagine. Anyway.
So did it badly.
That's all right. We learn, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. Sure do.
We teach our kids.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody out there? I'm hanging out, man. I'm just chilling. Let's do it. Open book.
It's been
Free reign.
an hour and 10 minutes. Can you believe it?
Anna said he'd be glad to hear that. You survived.
You survived.
No shotguns. This is true. No shotguns. I'm sure he would have been glad to have. He's heard it. We've had the conversation a few times, right?
Yeah.
We've laughed about it. Hey, Dad.
Yeah, we can tell
Remember when I did that?
A
so
long
funny.
list of things we've done wrong first, and now we know better. So.
She's getting cuddly, so I'm going to take advantage of it.
All right. Well, I think we're going to close it out. Oh, thank you,
Great.
Pam.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks for all your
Say
help.
hi to Eric for us.
Love you.
And oh my gosh, look how big your grandson is.
Date night, scheduled or spontaneous?
For us, we're just talking about that. For us, our date nights are usually spontaneous because my work schedule is so spontaneous. I can get work left and right.
And we have an oldest to babysit, too.
And we have an
Makes a big
oldest to
difference.
babysit, so we can be like, hey, you working tonight? No? You are now.
We do spontaneous better.
We do spontaneous. That's something that's probably the biggest change in me over years, huh?
Yeah.
Spontaneity. I was such a control thing, but now I love new things and experience it. You made it
pie for Kyle, my brother-in-law. That's right. My dad was probably so happy at anything like Kyle and Daniel did.
That's true.
After him. All right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I did. Like, yeah.
He's probably like, may I? And my dad's like, yes, yes, yes.
But you guys got the smarter weddings though. They got to the point where they finally just said, "Oh, one last question, Dylan Baker.
Last question.
We will stay here for Dylan. Spell my name right though. Also, I want to ask you a question, man.
Close, buddy.
ION. Just kidding, dude.
Everybody smells.
Sarah!
5 years in October. That was such a fun day.
Sweetest
do you remember
people
we
ever.
found a snake in the barn when we were getting ready for your wedding?
That's true.
What
That's right.
age is good to have your oldest babysit? Emily's going to be 13. I haven't seen Miranda started babysitting when she was like 13 or 14.
I love it. Angie's correcting
Damion.
Damion. Yeah, I think it all depends on the maturity of that child. Miranda definitely started babysitting at 13.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's great, you guys. When you have an older kid, it's awesome. Okay, how do you balance the craziness of your work schedule?
Making sure
you're being intentional with spending quality time together. That's great. That's a great question.
That's a great question. He's all
you
sorry.
talk about that one.
You don't apologize, dude. I'm just giving you a hard time. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I'll speak from, if I may, go first and speak from the guy's perspective. That's a tough one because two things are your biggest priority. It's supporting your family, and it's loving your family. And that's a hard one. And a lot of times it's gonna fluctuate, dude. So Dylan, the tough part of being the man in a household, if you choose to handle the finances and be over those things, I did that, and I personally like having that away from my wife. I don't like that stress or worry on her. But it's balancing it is going to be literally that. How's your relationship and how's your finances? And there's going to be times where finances are going to take a priority because maybe things are thin.
Feed the kids.
You got to feed the kids, or maybe there's some goals that you guys have made an agreement to. I definitely don't think that you should make. I don't think you guys should make like financial goals in the first, year or two of your marriage. I think you should focus on that first. So your relationship. So the answer to the question for you is that first year or two, that relationship should be priority. But there's going to be times where, even within that period, where finances may need to take that spot because you have to. Yeah, you still got to take care of them. And I've done that many, many times. For a photographer to shoot, to photograph, more than 10 days in a month that's a decent amount of work, especially if you're doing, full day things. If you're doing 15 days in a month, you're doing really well. And there was months where I did 25.
Yeah.
I shot 25 days in a month, and that's because financially I needed to, but at that particular point we had set goals. I know I'm kind of dancing around. I just don't think there's. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think one of the answers is you have to be intentional about it. So if you're being busy at work, then like if he's gone on like a 9-day conference, then he's going to be intentional when he comes back about sharing time with us. So he's going to set aside a couple of days when he comes back to be like, okay, I need to hang out with the girls. And so I think that it's just a matter of being intentional about finding that time, especially if your wife, I don't know what her love languages are, but if her love language is time, you're going to need to be really specific about setting aside, maybe you can find like Sunday nights where you guys can spend together, or, you know, sometime over the weekend, or just, you know, if you know, like for Damion, like, I like to get up earlier than he does, but he likes it if we like wake up together, you know, so sometimes I have to sacrifice that time at the gym so that I can do that, and so I can wake up with him, you know. And so her love language is quality time. Yeah, so you're just going to have to make it real specific and real intentional about spending time with her and supporting her, and making sure that her needs are met too. You know, does she have time that she needs to maybe go out with her girlfriends or spend some time alone, or like when you guys have babies, like you're gonna need to make sure that she has some time to be herself and not a mom. So maybe you can plan like, oh, when I come home tonight, I'll take the babies, you go out and get your nails done or read a book or whatever it is, you know. So I think that's just like about being intentional. Especially if her language is quality time, it's going to be really important to, it's really important to make sure that you get that time with her.
So that's going to be your priority for sure in your first, at least in your first year. But again, life things change. Life things will change that, man. Kids will for sure. I would definitely come home from work, and I would even get the car and park, and she'd come outside with Miranda in her hands and go, "Would you take her, please?"
Yeah.
And I literally, she'd hand her to me in the car. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I'd be like, why don't you go somewhere?
Yeah. Well, she cried 24/7. We didn't know she was having stomach health issues.
Yeah.
And so she cried like 24/7. By the time Damion got home, I would be absolutely crawling up the walls.
Psychotic.
And like understand why people abuse their kids. Like I never abused her, but I was like, I get it why people like.
It was a hard time.
It was really challenging, but so like sometimes he's like, I would just come running out of the house like, oh my gosh, please take her, you know, so I could just get some time to like think a complete thought.
Yeah. So those things are our priority, and you know, in Dylan, your gal, you know, quality time. Like Julie, even now, because she's schooling our kids right now, she's working in our business, you know, and my goal at this particular point is try and take as much responsibility off of Julie's hands as I can right now, because she has goals like this, to be with you guys every day and so forth, and we've made some changes to make that happen, but. She also has this thing twice a month, which is Mom's, what do you call it? Mom's Fun Day?
Once a month. I put on the calendar Mom's Adventure Day. Adventure Day.
Like, Julie needs to get out into nature, and she needs to dance amongst the trees and express herself. Yes. And, she just needs to get out, read a book, and have some alone time. And that's how she recharges. That's that pure introvertedness of her. But she needs to get outside instead of being cooped up at home. Yeah, so I just take one day a month, and I put it on the calendar, and then I don't tell anybody where I'm going, and I usually go somewhere new, and I don't usually check in. Sometimes I will if I'm like, hey, I'm going here, I want you to know I'm going to hike by myself, or usually don't go on hikes by myself. But yeah, we have those restrictions for sure. So, so that's what she does. Dylan, you got any more, bud? You're the best. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. I saw so many comments, and I mean, we're an open book. So if you have any questions, let us know. We love you. An hour and a half. I know. And may your minds be fierce, and your hearts very strong, and your spirit very kind today. We love you. You answered all my questions. All right, more are going to come up. Give us a call. You know where we are. Bye.